Did you know that Phylicia Rashad, at 77 years old, has just broken a silence she's carried for months? What she has revealed about Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death has left the world stunned. This isn't just another celebrity passing, it's a deeply personal tragedy wrapped in mystery, sorrow, and whispered warnings. According to Phylicia, the story the world was told doesn't begin to scratch the surface. And what she shares now will change everything you thought you knew about the man who grew up before our eyes as Theo Huxtable. On July 18, 2025, Malcolm retreated to a quiet lakeside home in upstate New York, a place where he often sought peace and clarity. He was working on a new project, a spoken word and jazz fusion album that reflected his deepest truths. It was his most personal work yet, a reflection of everything he'd experienced, and everything he still hoped to say. According to his assistant, he was in a contemplative mood that morning. Neighbors saw him walking along the water with headphones on and a cup of coffee, soaking in the solitude. Later that afternoon, he was spotted entering the lake, something he regularly did for meditation. But by 3:27 p.m., a hiker saw something floating, a body. Emergency services responded immediately. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was pulled from the water and efforts to revive him began. But it was too late. At the hospital, he was pronounced dead, just like that. An autopsy later declared it accidental drowning, but almost immediately, those closest to him began questioning that verdict. There were no signs of struggle, no injuries, and no immediate evidence of foul play. But there were also no easy answers. His phone, still unlocked, sat on the dock. A small Bluetooth speaker played soft jazz, and inside his phone were messages that would make the world shudder. Unsent texts. Drafted notes. Messages to friends and former co-stars that seemed to speak from a place of darkness and finality. One message addressed to Keisha Knight Pulliam read, "You were always the light on set. I'm sorry I faded into the dark." But it wasn't until Phylicia Rashad spoke that the world truly began to understand the depth of what Malcolm was going through. In a tearful interview, she revealed that just days before his death, Malcolm had called her for what felt like a goodbye. He said, "I feel like I'm on borrowed time, but I don't know why." There was no panic in his voice, she said. No despair. Only a quiet sense of finality. According to Phylicia, he spoke with clarity and peace, as though he had accepted something the rest of the world didn't yet know. What the world didn't know was that Malcolm had been quietly battling a rare neurological disorder for over a year. One that slowly stripped him of motor control, clarity of thought, and emotional balance. It wasn't something he wanted to reveal publicly. He didn't want pity. He didn't want to be remembered as a man weakened by illness. He wanted to be remembered for his creativity, his words, and the love he gave to the world. He told Phylicia, "I felt it coming like a shadow that grows longer each day." Behind the scenes, Malcolm had been preparing for the end. He updated his will, finalized guardianship plans for his child, and began drafting ideas for a small, intimate memorial. Those close to him said it was out of character, he had always been spontaneous and full of life. But in those final weeks, he grew quieter. More reflective. He skipped meetings, stopped responding to calls, and spent more time alone by the water. To some, it looked like burnout. To others, something far deeper. Social media posts during this period now seem loaded with meaning. He shared cryptic quotes about the sea, about flowing with the current, about letting go. In retrospect, it was all leading to something. Something unspoken. Something tragic. His connection with water wasn't just a place of peace anymore, it became a symbol of transition. A place where he would go, not just to think, but maybe to say goodbye. Witnesses in the area later confirmed seeing him near the lake at odd hours, sometimes pacing, sometimes standing still. The most shocking revelation came weeks later when Phylicia shared more of what Malcolm had told her in confidence. He admitted that he had been quietly documenting his journey, not just with music, but with video journals, voice notes, and poetry. He had planned to release them posthumously, a series called The Last Verse. Each entry spoke about legacy, about fame, and about the emotional toll of carrying a public image while suffering silently behind the scenes. In one recording, he said, "Fame is a stage with no exits. Everyone's watching, but no one sees you." To understand how he arrived at this moment, we have to go back. At just 14, Malcolm became a star. As Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, he represented hope, humor, and the everyday trials of growing up. But fame at such a young age left scars. He later said in interviews, "People never stopped seeing Theo. Even when I tried to show them Malcolm, they still looked for Theo." That struggle to separate himself from a beloved character haunted him well into adulthood. The fall of Bill Cosby shattered what remained of that legacy. Malcolm never publicly defended Cosby, nor did he fully condemn him. His silence was interpreted in different ways. Some saw it as loyalty. Others as hesitation. But those who knew him best understood, it was heartbreak. It was pain. A complicated love for someone who had once been a father figure, now revealed as a man capable of unspeakable harm. After the scandal, many doors began to close. Roles became scarce. Interviews dried up. He found himself increasingly isolated from the industry he had once called home. But he didn't give up. Instead, he transformed. He turned to music, spoken word, and poetry. Not for fame, but for healing. He started performing in smaller venues, creating pieces that resonated with depth, honesty, and emotion. He wasn't chasing applause, he was searching for connection. When the news of his death broke, the grief was overwhelming. Fans held vigils from New York to LA. Murals of Malcolm appeared in Harlem and Brooklyn. One, painted overnight, showed a young Theo with the caption, "Theo taught us how to dream, Malcolm taught us how to live." The hashtag Theo Forever trended for weeks, not just as a tribute, but as a movement. Black men began sharing their own struggles. Their anxiety. Their trauma. They said Malcolm made vulnerability acceptable. One post read, "He taught me it's okay to hurt. He taught me to speak." That impact, those ripples, are his true legacy. It was never just about a TV role. It was about what he became because of it, and despite it. Networks began planning tribute specials. Howard University and Morehouse launched scholarships in his name. And fans started petitions for a Hollywood Walk of Fame star that, somehow, he never received in life. But the greatest honor wasn't on a plaque or in a ceremony. It was in the lives he changed by being honest. By showing that behind the smile could live real pain, and that acknowledging it wasn't weakness, but power. In one of his final journal entries, Malcolm wrote, "If I leave with no goodbye, remember the rhythm, not the silence. Remember the fight, not the fall. Speak my name like music." Those words now echo as his legacy. Malcolm-Jamal Warner wasn't just an actor, or a poet, or a mentor. He was a quiet revolution. And in his silence, he left behind a message louder than any applause. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe. Let us know how Malcolm impacted your life in the comments below, and help keep his legacy alive.